Hello, everybody. Should say good afternoon. And a few things have changed around here a little bit. But anywho, tried combining yesterday. That didn't happen because it's too tough. So we're going to give it a couple days. We'll try again tomorrow. Hopefully it goes tomorrow afternoon. Tried baling. That's too tough. Checked the hay. That's been down for only like 3 days. And it's too tough. Can't bale. Can't combine. So what are we going to do? We're going to do this stuff. I'm thinking this should be real close to being able to do what I want to do. We have CP and I have been discussing about, because the one pasture where this west dugout of ours goes to, it feeds the whole pasture. But if we have the cows in the stubble field, we don't want them to necessarily be grazing in the pasture field. So we're going to put up a permanent fence. It'll only be 3 wire. But I got to run the string line so that I'm somewhat straight, I guess you can say. So, and I got a feeling because it's so damn dry that I'm going to have to punch the holes for every post. And we'll soak them with water. And in a day or two, we'll rent a post pounder and we'll get all those posts in the ground. We also, you can see those 4 posts right there. So right there. So that post right in the corner, right where those slabs come to an end right there, that one has to get pulled and we got to put a big one there. One of those guys, 5 to 6 inch 8-footer, will go in at that point. And then from this post here, all the way down to the big gate post, the tall one right there. That sumbitch, it used to be a lot taller, but it got hit by lightning a couple years ago and it exploded, the top half of it. So we lost about 6 feet off of that post. But anyways, we got to get posts all along that line, fix that corral up. And then there's some posts that have to go in another spot on the corral. So yeah, once we get the pounder, then we're going to be busy with putting posts in the ground. And I think I'm going to grab an extra roll of wire just in case that's not enough. I'll grab a full roll too. So when we get out to the pasture, I'll bring you guys back. Alrighty, so we're out in the pasture here. So the whole idea here, and you can kind of make it out. You see that cross post goes across right there? That's the gateway going into our triticale field, and this year it's triticale, last year was barley, before that was oats, so on and so forth. So we want to build a fence from that point all the way back to this point here. And I've actually been kind of drumming in my head about changing this fence line because it's not very good. It's not bad. It works. It holds the animals, and I don't know if I should take this fence line that runs at an angle this way and take it and move it over to the post right there where the slabs end, or leave it, just say fuck it and leave it the way it is, or even take this fence line and move this side of it over this way, because the dugout's right there. You can see the water kind of sort of right there. This is part of the hill of the dugout here. And move the fence line from that point over this way more and make that area a little bit bigger. Guess it doesn't really matter. No matter what I do, if we leave it here, this corner all has to be rebuilt, and I want proper bracing in. So, but I want a straight fence, and by doing this, we can kind of do, and maybe in the future I'll get another fence, or possibly two, going across this little pasture and do more intensive rotational grazing. I'm watching lots of this regenerative grazing and so on and so forth, where they take lots of animals and put them on small acreage. So like if we took 50 cows and stuck them in a 5-acre plot for 2 days and let them pound the hell out of it, or 3 days, and then move them to the next piece, and then move them to the next piece. But if I do that, then I also have to have an alleyway, because these animals all have to be able to come back to this point for dugout watering. And so, but it's something I've been kind of thinking about doing, and I'd like to kind of do that out in the bush. But the biggest problem is, one, got to push a bunch of bush for all the cross fencing, and two, water. Definitely have to have water. If you don't got water out there, you're not going to have animals. So, and there's only one dugout in that big bush pasture, and that's right up here close to the yard, to the north of our barn area. So, anywho, for now, we're going to get this fence line built and go from there. The whole idea, like I said before, so that we can have cattle graze out in the stubble field after we're done combining or baling or whatever it is we're going to do out there. They can be grazing that crop, what's left out there, and then they can get into the dugout area for water. It's not that far of a walk, and it stops them from being able to go out into this area here. So let's get after it, right? I'll bring you back in a bit. Alrighty, so we got our wire run. I got to make sure we're straight, so I got to get on top of a hill over here, a little knoll, give it a few flips up and down, because I do believe we're heading south. Got a bit of a curve south, and then it goes back north. So when we come in here, this will be a proper H brace in this area going this way. I got to rebuild this one because it was never done properly. It was a quick job, and I just put a friggin', well, fuck, that's not even a 2x6. That's like a fucking slab on there. But it's been working, but it's not done right. This post is good, it's solid, but I do want to get a proper H brace on this point also. So it'll be pulling one of them, pulling that post, sinking a heavy duty sucker in there, building a proper H brace, going 2 directions off of this corner. CP's not going to like this, but if you're going to build it right. And your bracing is the biggest factor in all fence builds. That's my theory anyways. So we're on top of the hill here. Just grab that wire. Give her a few flips up and down. Like so. Let her drop. And she'll kind of work her way straight on her own just by flipping it up and down. We got to go to that end and pull this wire a little tighter. This end is going to get all rebuilt, this corner also, like I said before. But for now, for running the post, I want to make sure we got a good straight line. So I'll grab my handy dandy fence stretcher, just a come along style stretcher, and we'll get to work at pulling this wire a little snugger at this end. And anybody, I don't care who you are, if you're an acreage guy or a long-time farmer that is now getting into cattle, you got to have a fence stretcher of some point. If you're going to have cattle, you're going to have fence, and you need a fence stretcher. So go pick one up. Talk to you guys later. So we gave it a good pull over that way. And we got our line straight. You can see it there now. But I just punched this hole with a bar, and see that? I didn't make a real big hole, but as far as I can reach, that's how dry it is. It's friggin' dry. So now I'm gonna step it out basically all the way. We're gonna punch a hole all the freaking way from one end to the other, wherever a post has to go, and then grab some water and pour water in all those holes. Let it soak. Because for how dry and how hard the ground is, we come along with a big heavy hitter post pounder, and we'll just be busting posts. And I don't need to be busting posts at $7, $8 a post. You don't want to be busting a bunch of posts, right? The fun begins. Talk to you later. I don't know, this bar is 4.5, almost 5 feet. It's in the ground and standing there quite comfortably by about 2 inches. Maybe 2.5 is all it was in the ground. And that just shows you how dry it is. I'm just taking 5. I went and got a different bar because the other one I found was too light. I had to work like a dog just to punch a hole. This one, it goes a lot better. I'm basically punching a hole about that far. So from the tip to here, it'd be about 13, 14 inches. You fill that with water, let it soak in, and you could fill it with water a second time. And in 2 days later, 3 days later, those posts will drive in quite comfortably. So, in fact, I fill them with water, those posts will drive in a lot easier even today than they would if without a hole. So, later. Alrighty guys, so post there. Holes are all punched, and they were all full of water, but the water is seeped all the way into the ground. We could fill them again. So to get from this side to the bigger side, we need a gateway. So there'll be a couple of H braces for that. We're just using used pickets, 3 to 4s on average. These are 6-footers. I'm gonna kick her ass. I swear to God, I'm gonna kick her ass. So for the initial, I got a gate that's gonna go in right here. But for the initial, the main gate post, it'll be an 8-footer. The brace will be a 6 on this spot. I never brought my 8-footers out. Oh, where the hell? That's where I need to put that goddamn post. This one's like a 4.5 inch. And he goes there. And then the other post for the gate goes here. She tried running me over earlier. Now she's gonna just back away. I'm gonna take one of these posts, wrap it with wire, and beat her with it. There. So when we're gonna get the post pounder, at this point, I don't know. It's all based on weather, and if I could be baling or combining, that's priority over this fence. I'm gonna take a fence picket, wrap it in wire, and beat you with it. I'm gonna pretend that I'm, what the hell was that guy's name? Dugan from WWE. Yeah, his last name was something Dugan or yeah. And he stomped around, USA! USA! Anyway, this wraps this part of it up, so we got to get the pounder in here because I'm not pounding these suckers by hand.
You can do it.
You can do it. I'm gonna lock the house doors. You got all night long to do it. Talk to you guys later. Have a good one. Alrighty, guys. So for this corral work here, we measured our posts, and it's every 10 feet, except for this one. This one's 7'6" to the corner. So I'll set our posts out at every X, and when we get the pounder, then we can pound these big bastards in too. These are 5 to 6 inch, and I tried to stick heavier towards the bigger ones for all of this work, and they're 8 feet long. Guys, so why am I hooked up to the mower? Just to clean up the big weeds and grass that were in that fence line, that corral line. Areas that we want to be working in. We're basically shutting it down. It's starting to spit. It's not that it's raining hard. What this is, this rain is just going to be a very light dust dampener, if that barely. But what I think it's going to do is fuck me for tomorrow. Because I was really hoping to get our triticale combine tomorrow. We're at 14.7 yesterday. Now we're going to be way over with this little bit of moisture. All this moisture is a piss off. Because it stops you from being able to cut and bale. Well, it stops you from making hay, from baling hay. And it stops you from combining. It just pisses everybody off. That's all this is. But this is layout for fence line and corral work. So we'll get something done. Talk to you later.